Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this City of Sylvania Committee of the Whole meeting. It is March 2nd, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. and we're here to discuss ordinance number 30, proposed ordinance number 37-2026 on federal immigration. For the record, present this evening are myself, Mary Westfall, other council members, Marcus Hanson, Doug Hanum, Brian McCann, Lindsay Stow, Patrick Richardson. Also joining us, Mayor Fry, Chief Miller, Law Director Leslie Brining, Service Director Joe Shaw, Clerk of Council Mrs. Smith. And then we've also got many guests with us in the room, and I'd like to take a moment to welcome all of you. We are very pleased to see such a wonderful turnout. That says to us that this conversation and this process is important to our community. We love when we see lots of residents here, and I hope that there are many residents in this room. There may be some people from outside of the area. Of course, you're welcome as well. Without question, this is democracy at work, and it is encouraging to see all of you engaged, and thank you for being here. So I would like to share with you a little bit about the process tonight. First of all, you can see the room's kind of crowded. The fire department did let us know what our numbers were for the room, so everything in here is being followed by fire code. I don't remember the exact numbers, something around 115 to 120 people are allowed in this space. People can be in the outside space, but during the meeting, the doors do have to be closed. So just to let you know, we're following those procedures. Also, can you all hear me back there tonight? You cannot?
A little higher.
Can we get it higher?
It's as high as it goes.
So I will try and speak loudly, and I'll ask all the people who step up to please use your voice loudly, and our council members to do the same. So the process will begin with, of course, as many of you know, this is a committee of the whole meeting. We are not required to have public comment at a committee of the whole meeting. However, this meeting was scheduled specifically for the purpose of allowing more time for public comment. We will open with some brief questions or comments from our council members. Also, we will then follow up with residents of the city of Sylvania having the priority to speak. If you have spoken before, if you spoke at our last meeting, we would ask that you refrain from speaking till everybody else has spoken. When you come to the front, we would ask that you please step to the front if you're going to speak at the podium. We'd ask that you give us your name and your address, and you will have 90 seconds to speak. I would want to mention that comments will wrap up probably about 6:15 so that council members can discuss and determine if any action will be taken. Please also know that if you need to leave, please leave quietly. Other people will be coming in if anybody leaves the room, so that will be helpful. Let me make sure I haven't left anything out. We definitely welcome all of your comments and perspectives, but I do want to remind all of you that this is not a time to question, challenge, or bully another person about their thoughts. Please be respectful of one another. Every perspective is valuable. So with that, I would open up to comments and questions from council members before we open up to the public. Anything? Administration, anything you'd like to?
No.
Okay. With that, I would invite people to let us know who's interested in speaking by a show of hands, and then I'll call you up. This woman right here in the red, if you'd like to step up here to the, it's Jen. Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. Jennifer Sater, 6769 Roosevelt Drive, Sylvania. And I wrote a letter to the editor of The Blade about my opinions. I won't say all of that again here, but just wanted to summarize that during the last meeting, I was really struck by how we were talking about ICE as if they were a normal law enforcement agency, but you've all read the headlines and they're not acting the way I would expect our police to act. They're not respecting people's rights, they're not identifying themselves, they're not acting with the minimal force needed. There are just some brutal examples of how people are being treated. And I really hope that you'll consider, when you're considering this legislation, the risk that kind of action would pose to our city if we are responsible for held responsible for their actions. So I'd like to see people in Sylvania treat each other and other residents as neighbors, whether they're citizens or not. So I would ask you to support the legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sater.
Ricky Thomas, 7350 Highland Ridge Court. Good evening to all of you, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I'm a military retired veteran of 26 years of active duty and soon to be a retired teacher at Springfield High School for 23 years. I could have lived anywhere that I wanted, but I chose to live in Sylvania to be my home. Taxes are high, a bit high, but I believe you pay for what you get. We have good schools here in Sylvania, good fire department. Most citizens are welcoming, and an outstanding police department led by our outstanding chief. I believe that the chief have all the policies in place that ensures good policing and keeping our citizens safe in Sylvania. I've been a leader for a long time. Decisions by leaders are not always perfect or always satisfying to all of us. I feel that the chief will make the best decisions for this city without the need of an ordinance. I ask that you allow the chief and her department to do their job with the policies that she has in place for the department already that exist. I ask that you deny the passing of the additional ordinance, which clearly shows, in my opinion, the lack of trust in the chief and her department without cause. Don't tie the hands of these very people that we have entrusted the power of policing. With additional legislation and regulations, it will hinder them from doing their jobs. Those guys do a heck of a job, and so does the chief.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Other comments? I see a hand right here.
My name is Ken Marciniak. I live at 4755 King Road. I've been a Sylvania resident for approximately 45 years. I agree with the gentleman before me. This is not a ordinance that should be taken lightly. The police should work together with all governmental agencies to assure everyone gets a fair and unbiased treatment. You cannot listen to what you see on TV. All of the networks are biased in one way or another, and I don't believe that you can rely on anything you see on TV as to what is truly happening. I think the chief has worked with the national organizations to update our policies and procedures, and working with the federal government to assure everybody is treated properly is the only way we should proceed. Thank you.
Right here, and then we'll do you next, the woman in the green.
Hi, my name is Barbara Schaffner. I live at 5156 Rock Creek Drive in Sylvania. I retired from law enforcement in Miami, Florida. There's 17 law enforcement officers in our family and 4 firefighters. Okay, when you guys are talking about not backing up ICE, what's gonna happen if Sylvania Township doesn't back up officers in Sylvania when they're getting shot at? When there's a problem in Sylvania. It's mutual aid. Every officer, the only people that back officers up are other officers. I'm sorry to say, because the people would rather videotape, and there is a videotape of a Miami-Dade police officer getting shot while somebody's videotaping them, rather than going and helping them. You guys, police and politics do not need to be in the same sentence. The police chief is perfectly capable of making a decision as to what is good for her officers. Period. ICE does their job. If people leave people in jail when they have holders, just like when they have extraditions, they go to the jail, they pick them up, and they're gone. There is no reason for anybody else to get involved. Okay, we dealt with it in Miami when we had the Cubans come over and we had the Haitians come over. And every agency out of 36 of them had to help us at one time or another.
Thank
Okay,
you
and
so
when you
much.
don't have it, you guys are in trouble.
Thank you for your comment.
My name's Constance Schall, 4709 Wickford Drive East in Sylvania. The proposed ordinance takes a very common sense approach in focusing efforts of City of Sylvania employees and city resources on city services and local issues of public safety. Collection and sharing of individual citizen information does not make our city safer. As a reminder, our U.S. Constitution, it's clearly stated that protections for due process are for all persons. The Bill of Rights does not distinguish, as written, between citizens and non-citizens. Immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility. This ordinance sets limits on the use of city funds and resources in these federal activities in a very measured way. This protects the city's very limited resources. Some council members expressed concerns in the February council meeting about possible disciplinary actions imposed on those employees that do not comply with the proposed ordinance. I would hope that this council supports adherence to local, state, and federal laws for all city employees. In Section 14 of the ordinance, it clearly states that the process for disciplinary action must be in conformance with city policies and collective bargaining agreements. I urge council members to vote for this ordinance to ensure good stewardship of our city resources and in a demonstration of support for all of our residents.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw.
My name is Valdemar Velasquez. I'm with the Farm Labor Organizing Committee, 3352 Plainview Drive, just down the road a bit. I ask you to listen carefully to this ordinance. We have a long-standing history working on immigration issues. We had our first immigration raid in 1971 in Putnam County. They arrested 12, 14 tomato pickers, friends of mine. They took them to the jail, found out later that all but 2 of them were American citizens. So we're quite familiar with this problem. It's been, of course, a big issue in our country today, and I want to encourage you to consider the following, that we've had a long-standing solution-oriented work with local governments to advance clear standards that protect due process, that strengthen community trust and support public safety. The core of this issue is not really immigration, it's our Constitution. And the laws that are passed that are consistent with our Constitution. That's the way our democracy works, as a process. At core, on these constitutional rights, all of this underscores human dignity, community safety. Public safety works when people feel safe calling 911, reporting crimes, sending their children to school, seeking medical help. When due process is weakened for any group, the safety of the entire community is put at risk. Judicial warrants, clear identification, use of force standards are not barriers to safety. They are the foundation of lawful enforcement. These principles are reflected in our code of conduct that we signed with the Toledo Police Department and later with the Lucas County Sheriff's Department. All these things are being considered are consistent with this. So I encourage you to take this resolution, this legislation seriously, because we count on you to protect us. And we want to see law enforcers, people that we can call on, that we can trust. We want to help you solve crimes. If we're afraid of you, we're going to stay away from you. And that does not make us a whole community. We need to have that.
Next gentleman.
Well, I want to thank City Council for allowing me to speak. My name is Joe Moran. I'm a Vietnam veteran where I served as a infantry medic. For 30 years, I was a supervisor and chief probation officer at Toledo Municipal Court. For 20 of those years, I was an adjunct member of the criminal justice program at Lord's University. I am opposed to ICE coming to Sylvania and this area on two grounds. First, immigration reform in this country is in long need. It needs to be orderly, fair, and transparent. And it's a long overdue process. But ICE, in my opinion, is nothing but a quick fix. It's a knee-jerk reaction to a decades-old problem. And in my opinion, an insidious and methodical erosion of constitutional protections, risking a slide, in my opinion, to becoming a police state. I'm concerned too about the residual effect ICE will have on respect for the already difficult job our police have across the nation. On a local level, I'm concerned that ICE will detract from local law enforcement and public safety by being confused with them. We already have 3 levels of policing in our area: municipal police here, sheriff's department, and the state highway patrol. Do we need a 4th? How about a 5th? The Sylvania Police Department needs to focus its limited resources on crime prevention, investigation, and interdiction under its municipal laws and the ORC, the Ohio Revised Code, and not federal immigration. If the local police, in the course of investigating a crime, find that a person here is illegal, that's one thing. But they have no business doing the bidding of the federal government by targeting and investigating people about their immigration status.
Hi, I'm Patty Barnes-Walcher. I live at 7070 Apple Creek Road in Sleepy Hollow. You've heard about Sylvania's long-standing history of being an area where we've had these problems. We're also an area that has had a long-standing history of being an area that has helped people who have been targeted because of the color of their skin. And I think some of you are aware of, I've had a history of helping the Lathrop House be an area that children can come to. I know the church used it for many years prior to us moving it. It is a shining light, like the Northern Light. That's why we're wearing these stars. Because Sylvania is an area where people can come and know that they are safe and know that we help those who need it. That is our history. And if I cannot get you on our side that we need this ordinance for a moral or ethical reason, let me just say, we have the media here. We have the world looking at us, just like Minneapolis has the world looking at them, has. We want people in this area to know you can move here and be safe. Nobody is saying, some gentleman mentioned that we're not interfering with the federal government. Last time we heard the police chief explain loud and clear. Federal government has federal rights. They are allowed to come into here, that we can't keep them out. What we can do is not use their resources. And that is what I would ask you to do, to be an example
for everybody in our area that Sylvania is a place that welcomes everybody and will keep everybody safe.
Thank you.
Good evening, Abby Brutlinger, 6549 Woodhall Drive. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening and listening to those in support of and in opposition of the ordinance. It brings me relief to see the Sylvania Police Department presence in our community, whether on patrol or responding to a call. As a citizen, it can be alarming when we see an incident with unmarked vehicles on a scene, not knowing what is going on and who drove into town in unmarked vehicles. The ability of our police department to provide mutual aid helps citizens to know that we have our local law enforcement supporting our best interest. And that's a relief to our community. The proposed ordinance seems very gray in whether mutual aid would be provided and if law enforcement could be reprimanded for support of other agencies, putting them in a box. I oppose the ordinance as written. As written, it would be a welcome sign, potentially to criminal elements, whether living here as a citizen or not, which over time would cause loss of business, citizens, and therefore fewer tax dollars, since we're evaluating the dollars potentially over safety for this proposed ordinance. That's all.
Thank you, Mrs. Brutlinger. I don't know if the woman at the back's arm is up. No, you're just leaning. All right. Anyone else that would like to speak? One moment. Did you speak the last time?
Yes, but I have a question. Now that I'm speaking.
Come on over. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
All right, my name's Irene Rose, and I live at 6809 Maplewood Avenue. Because this is such an important issue, is it possible to just give a quick review of the ordinance that's being discussed? Because there's a lot of people here that weren't here last time, just to be able to have a more clear picture.
The ordinance was posted online
Was
for
it?
anybody who wanted to review it, absolutely, and certainly can go to our website and look at it. It's a rather lengthy ordinance and would be difficult to go into a lengthy discussion right now about it. But certainly if people have key points from that ordinance that they'd like to bring up, they certainly are able to speak to those. Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? I can see.
Gentleman in the
Okay.
back.
The gentleman in the back will be next. Come on.
Brenda Thomas, 7350 Highland Ridge Court. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I'm a little frustrated because I've lived here my entire life. My kids are 5th generation graduates of Sylvania School. My ancestors settled into Sylvania before it was Sylvania. So this city is very important to me. My sisters moved south for work 30 years ago. They want to move back soon to retire because we love Sylvania so much. And one of the reasons we love it so much is because of the safety. It's very safe here, great school system. But if they find out that something like this passes, they've already told me, oh my gosh, maybe we shouldn't move up there. You know, who wants to live in a city where crime just doesn't seem to matter to some people? You know, if somebody commits a crime, if somebody's here illegally and we have a federal agency looking for them, we should be cooperating with our local police. You know, does anybody care about the victims of undocumented people? I mean, that's happened, that's a fact. And I think a lot of people are watching CNN, or I don't know what they're watching or where they're getting their information, but how many undocumented people do we actually have in Sylvania? There's not many. What's the chances, thank you. What's the chances of ICE, who's a federal agency, who are law enforcement officers, just like our police officers, what's the chance of them even coming into town? Like maybe 2 people? I mean, come on.
Thank you for your comments, Ms.
It's
Thomas.
ridiculous, but.
Steve Benjamin, 5863 Hideaway Lane, Sylvania, Ohio. And thank you for your service, Chief. your officers. Last time at the meeting, there was a lot of discussion about Lexipol, which is a private for-profit organization that we talked about here. In a short period of time searching them, I learned that by using their policy on immigration in the city of Spokane, they were sued successfully and had to settle for $49,000 for following Lexipol's policy. And they put out a notice to the rest of the state that the policies proposed, the policies set up by Lexipol had gotten them into financial difficulty as a community. We're talking about the difference between ordinances and policies. And as far as I could find is Lexipol does not comment on ordinances or laws of jurisdictions, just on policies and procedures, which are important. But in this situation, their policy on immigration enforcement led to that jurisdiction being sued successfully. And so I would encourage us to continue our research on this issue, because as part of this was how much of a risk are we putting our community into? And so I am in favor of the ordinance for numerous reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentleman in the back.
Dan Richardson, 5902 Garden Park Drive. I just want to say, you know, last time it was brought up, there could be a potential lawsuit or whatnot if there's a negative interaction with ICE and law enforcement in the community. What's going to be the lawsuit if the city ends the cooperation with ICE, someone goes down the road, an illegal, rapes and kills a city resident? I mean, what's that lawsuit going to look like? I mean, it would be in the millions if that were, you know, if that were to happen. And also, if we're going to talk about the resources again, I mean, I know Councilman Hainum, everyone here knows that there's no shortage of resources in the community. And it's a lie to say that. Can I talk? I mean, if we're going to talk about free speech here and you guys keep interrupting me, so.
Let's be respectful, please. Let's have order in the room.
So.
Thank you.
There's plenty of resources here, and to make it seem like if there's local cooperation with ICE or any federal agency, that the roads aren't going to get plowed, the streets, the leaves aren't going to get picked up. It's a lie. Everyone knows it's a lie. Even people in support of this legislation know that's a lie. So we need to be honest here. If you don't like ICE, just make the legislation that, hey, we don't like ICE, and not try to say that the roads aren't going to get plowed or the leaves aren't going to get picked up. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Tim Brentlinger, 6549 Woodhall Drive. I'd like to speak about the law of unintended consequences. In our nation's history, we had a constitutional amendment to the prohibition of alcohol. That led to higher crime rates and organized crime throughout the nation. There was also mandatory minimum sentencing that took the privileges of the judges and how they would sentence criminals in their courts, and that has led to overcrowded prisons in our country. Rent control laws, while intended to be good, have led to decreased housing availability in the communities where they have been put in place. That is what I would like to talk about tonight, is the law of unintended consequences. There are non-governmental agencies that provide lists of friendly communities and sanctuary cities for the express purpose of directing non-citizens without the permission of our nation to go into certain areas, and they will direct them into these communities. This drives up housing costs, whether it's purchasing homes or renting apartments. And that will help drive up costs on the local schools as well, as they have to provide interpreters and other things within our community. So on the issue of affordability, it goes throughout the entire community, not just relegated to these chambers and their policies. So I would ask then that this body, continuing the potential of negative unintended consequences would vote no on this ordinance. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Riley Kerrigan. I live at 7041 Eldon Drive. I think that the police have this all covered because me and my family live in Sylvania because it is safe, and if we do not let ICE come in and protect us from illegals, then that is not going to keep us all safe. If they already committed a crime coming into the country, they'll commit one again, and who knows if it could be killing someone or running them over, anything like that, and the police have it all covered. So I'll just keep it short, but that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments?
You're good. I'll go after you. Let's get real. Most of this is about,
Can I have name and address for some?
I'm sorry, John Hill, 6007 Brainerd Drive. ICE is not the problem. Previous administration was a problem when they dumped 20 million people on us. Who is going to pay for that? Oh, well, they gotta have a hospital. Let's give them that. They're gonna have to have free pharmaceuticals. Let's give them, hey, it's just some more of the giveaway. And we know what it's for. It's for votes. Enough of this. The president had it right the first time. If you're here and you're here illegally, you got two choices. You can wait until we catch you, or you can go home and put your paperwork in. That's the way to go.
Well, my name is Charles Moore, 6839 Fredericksburg Drive. I didn't choose to live here. I was born here at Flower Hospital. I am a fourth generation. My children are the fifth generation of their family to live here. Okay? I poured the very concrete that you guys walk up the steps on every time you come into this meeting hall. The problem with what you guys are doing is not a money thing. We have made money off of the city as a family, the third generation doing concrete here for years. I have an exact story you guys probably had nothing to do with, but my father did concrete at Northview High School years ago when I was very young. The very next year, he was told by the city to come up with a $22,000 invoice because they needed to spend some money. So that very next year, we tore out concrete. We poured the very year previous to that just so that books could be taken care of, so we could get funding. So it's not a money thing. Let's just let the police department do what they need to do. Cooperate, don't cooperate. But we can't sit here and say that it's a money thing. The city is only so big. It's the resources for a police officer, a cruiser to get across town is not that much. My son owns a police cruiser. He has an actual undercover PPV. Great fuel economy. We're not wasting that much money helping, getting across town and supporting another law enforcement agency. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Other comments? I see someone there and then this one back there. So if you want to come here and then I can't see if it's a man or a woman, and then you'll be next.
Devin Bodie, 5263 Burgess Drive. I just want to say non-citizens are not the problem. In Minneapolis, Chicago, wherever ICE has been, they haven't been the problem ever. They put more money into taxes than they take out because they do not get things for being non-citizens. That's kind of the whole problem with them, and they are exploited and used against their will within a system where it is almost impossible to become a citizen without it taking a decade to actually get all the paperwork through and to eventually become, one with whatever community. They are exploited otherwise, and then thugs who have no oversight, which is ICE in this particular instance, are being thrown at them for a fake problem that they have nothing to do with. It is unjust for you guys to actually help them in that instant achieve that goal. If they commit a crime within the city of Sylvania, that is when you should act on them. But you cannot just call them non-citizens and say that they deserve to be ripped away from communities that they have already been in, especially this one, a welcoming place. I've been here for, a year now, and I've really enjoyed it. And non-citizens deserve that chance too. And so it is imperative that you pass this to not support ICE with their non-oversight that they have at this time.
Let's wrap this up, everybody, shall we? Natalie Morgan, 5709 Phillips Avenue. Thank you for, again, this opportunity for the public comment to be heard. And I'd like to ask council members this question, just to ruminate on as you adjourn and go on your way. What would you need to hear to change your mind? If you are already supporting of this ordinance, what would pull you the other way? And if you are not supporting of this ordinance, what would pull you in the direction of supporting it? I'm asking you what you would need to hear to change your mind. And if your answer to yourself is nothing, then you don't represent me. You don't represent the citizens. You're representing your own interests. Unless you are open to considering the varied perspectives that are in this room as they pertain to Sylvania. I'd like to bring it back down to Sylvania, because we are not going to change federal politics. We are not going to change ICE's existence. If there is nothing that would change your mind, then you are not representing the citizens of Sylvania, and that is your responsibility. So I hope that you do find something that says, well, I would be open to this. And maybe that argument hasn't been made clear, and let there be another opportunity to do that. But if you are unwilling to consider another possible vote, then you're not representing the citizens. Thank you.
Any other comments? I may have missed somebody over here on this side. Feel free to come up, sir.
Bill Turansky, 8030 West Bancroft. I live in Sylvania Township. It has always been my understanding law enforcement agencies support each other. They all work together for the common good, protecting us. Fire departments also do this. This is not an unheard of situation. To tell one not to support the other is unsafe and dangerous. If the city police are told to not help or support ICE, that puts ICE at an unnecessary risk. It could lead to either civilians or ICE getting hurt, or worse yet, killed. In this case, Sylvania City is very aware of any possible problem areas in the community. To withhold this information from another agency is putting law enforcement lives at risk. They put their lives on the line every day to protect us. It is our duty to support them in every way possible. That is the least we can do. If there is no support for ICE in the community, it could open up an influx of an element we do not need. The illegals broke the laws governing immigration. Where would they stop? There is a right way and a wrong way to come into our country. I cannot understand, under any circumstances, why anyone would want to hinder law enforcement in any way, shape, or form while they are trying to protect us and our country. By encouraging agencies not to work together, it is only prolonging and making a bad situation worse. Regardless of your political or personal feelings, about ICE or the present political environment, there are immigration laws that need to be enforced, not ignored. Thank you.
I'd like to just make sure that we're clear that if there are any other City of Sylvania residents in the room that would like to make comments, that you raise your hand and let us know that. I appreciated this gentleman's remarks, as I do everyone's, but I'd like to make sure we're addressing and hearing from City of Sylvania residents. Is there anyone else? Okay. Oh, I see one more hand.
Cherry, 5619 Birchello Court.
Jeremy
Cherry,
Cherry.
5619 Birchello Court. Lots been said, almost a lot I want to respond to, but I'm going to try and just touch on a couple things that maybe weren't pointed out so much. The current immigration policies are part of a platform that won Donald Trump the presidency in fairly overwhelming fashion. Those policies regarding immigration remain very popular today. So I'm looking at each and every one of you sitting up there, because if you do this and actively work against these policies, there will likely be a reckoning come election day. And I would just ask that you guys think about that. The problem? I let everyone here speak, I'm gonna speak.
Let's be respectful. Please be respectful.
Those policies remain overwhelmingly popular today. And those of us that live in this community have a right to that, instead of having local officials undermine that platform and the things that we voted for. That makes a difference. The other thing I'd like to mention is that when's it, or ask, I should say, is where's it gonna stop? What other federal agencies is this city gonna decide they don't wanna cooperate with anymore? The DEA, the FBI, the EPA, we're just gonna pick and choose what federal authorities that we wanna cooperate with? And you think that that's fair to the citizens of this city? That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Diver, 5745 Phillips Avenue. It was my understanding when reading the ordinance that it does not prevent local law enforcement from cooperating with federal agencies as the law requires. So I'm getting the impression that some people have misread it or misunderstood it. Can I ask Mr. Hanem to address this issue?
What I would like to do is recognize that you've made a fair statement, and if Mr. Hanem has a specific answer to that question, I would welcome that, but I definitely don't want to go into a big conversation specific to the ordinance.
I guess my question is, does or does not the ordinance prevent our police department from working with ICE or with immigration? I know that they are not, as a local community, it is not their job to enforce immigration laws, but
You know, I do think that there could be a difference of opinion about what happens in that ordinance, and I'd rather not have a huge conversation around what Mr. Hanem versus other people on council think at this moment in time, because we'd like the opportunity to hear from everybody. So I do think there will be an opportunity for that conversation, but I think we want to make sure we get all of the comments here. And certainly, as we move to council comments, Mr. Hanem will be able to comment as he chooses.
Okay,
thank you. Is there anything else? Okay, with that being said, I want to take a moment to thank all of you for your remarks and for your participation. Before we move to wrapping up this meeting, I did indicate and share with you that I would like to open up to council members if there's anything that they would like to follow up on, or anything, questions that they may have regarding this proposed legislation. Is there anything that would like to come from administration?
I'd rather have council comment first.
Okay. Any comments?
I'll make a comment. I think it's kind of clear, especially by that last question, that this ordinance is not clearly understood of the impacts that it could have. And I think part of that is because the ordinance was written without our experts involved. So the law director and the chief of police were not a part of this, which is not typical when it comes to ordinances that come in front of council. And that makes me very uncomfortable because we don't understand the farther effects that this ordinance could have. And I, as much as my heart wants to support this, because I do want to make sure Sylvania feels safe for all, but I also feel like Sylvania already feels like it's safe for all, and we have not had any issues. I don't feel an urgency to need to push forward on an ordinance that has very clear gray areas where different council members might have different interpretations of what's being said. And I would like to have the time to look at that deeper and understand it more. So I would like to move away from the idea of either we support or don't support this one ordinance. And I would like to take the time more to go through the proper procedure that we would do in this, in which the administration has been a part of all of these conversations, looks deeply into what the impacts of these would be, and finds ways to do it that does not open up potential safety issues on either way of this ordinance. And then I would also propose that once that is prepared within a reasonable time frame, which in my mind, maybe that's 90 days, considering we have to continue doing our regular workload and everything, that there would be another committee meeting for then us to be able to review and discuss that ordinance and be able to further this conversation.
So is that a motion, Ms. Dow?
Does anyone else want to say anything before I present a motion?
I mean, you're welcome to present it. I would just want to add, I agree with you 100%. And that is the fact that no time prior to this ordinance coming to any of our attention was this reviewed with law enforcement or the legal department or with the safety committee. And no time since its introduction or any meeting we've had since then, especially knowing what the public outcry is on both sides of this issue, has there been any meetings scheduled with our police chief to discuss these issues? Zero. And I find that highly disturbing that someone would try to introduce law into our community without consulting with our law enforcement. So I support you 100% on that.
Yeah, I would be interested in seeing what the administration had. I mean, I'm not sure what the motion you're going to make is going to look like, but we'll see. Yeah, I would definitely be interested in looking at what the administration comes up with. You know, as far as what this ordinance says, I don't believe we're in a situation where we have to conserve city resources for the sake of telling our police, you know, by giving this kind of specific instruction to our police. I've said before that I trust our police. I think that the policies on the books are fine, but I'd be happy to take a look at what the administration could come up with.
Any other comments before I?
Mrs. Stowe, yeah, I will add, you know, I said 2 weeks ago at the meeting that, you know, I think we each need to consider, is there an issue with having an ordinance on this topic or an issue with the ordinance as it's written? And from what I'm hearing, it may be that the second one, and maybe that's the right approach, is to find an agreeable manner to write it in a way that all of council and the divided room here would come to an agreement with.
Yeah, I mean, reading, I guess just a quick comment of when I was reading through it, it became clear that there's a reason why policies exist, why resolutions exist, and ordinances exist. And I'm not entirely convinced that every piece of this is in the right place to be able to serve the proper function, which is the bettering of our community, to make sure we all feel safe and welcome here, and that we continue to be a place everyone wants to be. So I guess I will make a motion that the administration prepare an ordinance for council consideration, having heard the comments and seen the ordinance based on expert opinions, but also ensuring that we are maintaining our values as a
Second.
community.
Any other discussion?
Can I amend a motion?
Yes, you can.
I would propose to amend the motion. You said ordinance. I would take a look at a resolution as well.
Is there a
Should we
second?
say policies, resolution, and ordinance, since I was just talking about how there's a
That's fair,
proper
yeah.
fit for all of them?
You want to restate? You want to restate your?
Restate it, okay. Sorry, this is not a prepared statement. This is me responding to what you're hearing and trying to figure out a way forward that works for us all. I make a motion that the administration go through our typical procedure and look at the potential policies, resolutions, and ordinances that can address the concerns that we have heard over the last few meetings, as well as what's been proposed in this other ordinance, to be able to maintain a strong Sylvania and uphold our values as a community. I hope that's not too general. And I would hope that then that comes back to us for review later within 90 days.
90 days is
Okay.
fine.
And again, I second.
Thank you.
So there's a motion and a second, as you all
I would
heard.
like to comment on the motion.
Sure.
Of course, I drafted the ordinance. I know what the ordinance says, and I think it's pretty clear what it says. And I think it's an appropriate conservation of our resources on matters that are specifically related to the city of Sylvania. Immigration enforcement is by law and under the United States Constitution solely the responsibility with regard to immigration enforcement. The other issue that I want to be clear is that we would not, as a city, discriminate in the provision of I want to get this right, that we would assure equal access to all persons to city services, benefits, programs, and protections, regardless of their immigration status. So it's a non-discriminatory, it's a conservation of our resources for our purposes and a declaration that we oppose discrimination based on immigration status. I had a sense this was coming here. I mean, I knew that was here, which is why you're all going to get to have a vote on this. I've started an initiative petition. It'll be on the ballot in November, I expect, and everybody here can vote. And at any time that council wants to act on the ordinance, I've tried to get it on the agenda a couple times. I've been put off for more than a month, and we didn't, and got no consideration. Council wants to act, you can terminate the initiative process. In the interim, I'm going to move forward because I don't sense that this council will ever be prepared to move forward on this legislation.
So there's a motion on the floor to ask administration to prepare legislation considering the policies, the ordinances, and the resolutions regarding immigration, enforcement, and city resources. And we have a second. Is there any further discussion?
Oh, you know what? I would like to respond, if that's all right. Doug, I wish that I could support this, but I feel the way that it has been put together, and that the way it is written, I can't do it in good conscience because I think it's unrealistic in the way it's being done, and I think it's a little irresponsible. So I want it to be able to go through the typical protocol, to have the right eyes and to be able to work to find the way that works and will actually get real progress done. This one I think is going to cause more issues. And I want the time to make the decision and to understand it better before I make a vote, because I don't think we need to rush this at the moment. I would love to have more information to make a better informed vote.
Well, you'll get to vote on it.
Yeah, but that's part of my reason. I'm not doing this to avoid this. I'm doing this to do a better job at it.
First of all, I don't understand the irresponsibility issue. Certainly, I know what the ordinance says. Yeah, I wrote it. It wasn't written without a lot of consideration. It was immigration lawyers across the country, more than one location, about it. I'm very comfortable with the ordinance. I'm sorry you're not. Of course, I haven't heard from you since I initially talked to you about it. So I don't know what concerns you have. There's nothing irresponsible about this. It is a very simple declaration of how we will spend our resources and that we won't discriminate against people.
I think that.
Very simple. So you're, and if you want me to explain that more, I'd be happy to do that.
We will meet and we'll talk more.
There is a motion on the floor, and I think this is a dialogue that should happen between the two of you, and I would encourage you to both sit and meet on it as you choose. But there is a motion on the floor. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
So we've got. So does Laura do that for us? Mrs. Smith, I would ask that you call roll call on this.
Absolutely. Mr. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanem?
No.
Mr. McCann?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Ms. Stout?
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes. So we have 6 votes yes, 1 vote no, right? 6 votes yes, 1 vote no. So the motion carries, and we will advance that request to administration at the meeting this evening. Is there any other comments before I move to close? I would just take a quick moment to thank you all once again for being here. There's no question that this is a tough issue. It's going to be very difficult to have everyone feel fully heard and to have everyone feel like they're happy with any of the outcomes or with the outcome. But I would ask that all of us continue to think of moving forward and acting with kindness. Like all of you, I have many friends on both sides of this issue. I have no question that my friends will continue to be important people in my life, and our relationships will survive this. What I would say is I believe fully that our community is strong enough to handle disagreement respectfully, and I encourage all of us to be focused on that. I do think at the end of the day that we all want similar things. We really want a city that is safe, including for immigrants. We want a city that is welcoming to all, including for immigrants, and a city that uses its resources and wisely and is responsibly. I am confident that all of our council members share these goals with the community. We may have different approaches to how we achieve those goals, but we all are very dedicated and committed to doing what is right for the community. And I also would share with you that I 100% believe that every single council member at this table listened with an open mind and an open heart to every comment today, looking for a reason to move in one direction or the other. So please know that there is a council who is dedicated to you, passionate about this city, committed to making sure that we are safe, and to moving forward in the best possible way that we believe will achieve those goals. Thank you so much. I move to, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? moved and seconded. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Meeting stands adjourned.
I just wanted to let you know that there are people here who have petitions. They're ready to collect signatures starting tonight. And they'll be outside.
Good evening. Welcome to the March 2nd, 2026 meeting for Sylvania City Council. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Hanson? Mr. Hanem? Mr. McCann?
Here.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Richardson?
Here.
Ms. Dow? Here. Mrs. Westfall?
Here.
All 7 members of City Council are in attendance, therefore a quorum does exist. We'll do the next section, Pledge of Allegiance, led this evening by Mr. McCann. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Moving on to additions to the agenda, I don't have anything to be added to the agenda. Mrs. Westphal.
Nothing, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Members of council. Hearing none. Chief Miller.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Shaw.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schroeder's not here. He's ill today. Mrs. Smith.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Browning.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as submitted?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as submitted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to approval of the council meeting minutes for February 17th, 2026. Mrs. Westphal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move approval of the meeting minutes from the Sylvania City Council meeting held February 17th, 2026 as submitted.
Second. A motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes for the council meeting of February 17th, 2026 as submitted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to report from the committee of the whole meeting held earlier this evening. Mrs. Westphal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we held a meeting this evening, March 2nd, 2026 at 5:30. It was a committee of the whole meeting to focus on proposed ordinance number 37-2026 on federal immigration. For the record, those in attendance, myself, Mary Westphal, other council members, Marcus Hanson, Doug Hanem, Brian McCann, Lindsay Stow, Patrick Richardson, Sean Murphy, and from Mayor Fry was with us, Chief Miller, Mrs. Brining, Mr. Shaw, and Mrs. Smith were here as well. We had a full room of community residents in attendance, and it was wonderful to see the engagement from our community. And so I opened up the meeting and shared what the process would be, and then really opened it up to discussion from our community residents. There were about 21 people who actually spoke. We heard many comments both in favor and in opposition to the proposed legislation. At the end of the meeting, Ms. Stow moved that we request administration to prepare legislation regarding immigration and immigration enforcement and city resources, and bring it back to council no later than 90 days. And Mr. Murphy seconded that, and that motion was approved 6-1. And so after that, we moved to adjourn the meeting, and I think Ms. Stow actually moved to adjourn the meeting, and Mr. Richardson seconded it, and then the meeting adjourned at 6:30.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from members of council regarding the meeting? Hearing none, just as far as the legalities of this, Ms. Brining, the motion to prepare legislation, does that have to come before us now, or is the motion from the committee of the whole sufficient?
The motion from the committee of the whole is sufficient.
Okay. So we'll, administration will start to prepare legislation to be provided to everybody not later than 90 days, and hopefully well before that. Moving on to agenda item number 6, we have the Erie and Monroe Roundabout Surfacing Project. Mr. Shaw, this is your part of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, members of council. We are actively in our Erie and Monroe Roundabout project. On December 15th, ODOT officially gave us the green light to begin the right-of-way acquisition phase for the project, which we've been actively working on for the last month or two, getting appraisals done and working in that way. I have a couple to bring to you tonight that are needed for the project. The one in front of you for ordinance 48, 2026 is with Suzanne L. Baldwin. She's parcel number 25. To give you an example where she is the very southeast corner of the intersection, kind of the point where the two roads come together. We've been working with her. We need a warranty deed from her. We've been working on that. It includes about 0.52 acres of land and several trees on her property. We've reached an agreement with the property owner in the amount of $10,390 for the necessary space, and we request council's authorization to move forward with this. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Shaw?
Mr. Shaw, just wondering, we have two on the, do we have two tonight for these? How many do you see coming?
We have 9 property owners, so this are their first 2.
Okay, thank you.
That includes ourselves, right?
We are one of the 9, so 8.
Other questions for Mr. Shaw regarding the ordinance 48? Hearing none, we have ordinance 48, 2026 for consideration. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is ordinance number 48, 2026. I will read by title only. Authorizing the mayor and director of finance to enter into a purchase agreement with Suzanne L. Baldwin for right-of-way acquisition relative to the Erie Street and Monroe Street roundabout project, dedicating the same for public purposes, appropriating funds therefore in the amount of $10,390. I'll make a motion for passage as an emergency measure.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 48, 2026 as an emergency measure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried and ordinance 48, 2026 is approved as an emergency measure. Moving on to agenda item 6C, Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our next one is from Brandon R. Duffy and Emily J. Duffy. They are parcel number 20 on the project, which is exactly across the street from the one that we just talked about on the Erie side. So about 3 properties to the east of the Erie and Main intersection. Very small amount of work to be done on hers. All of it is driveway redoing and blending it back into the existing condition. So this is a temporary construction easement to do the driveway work on the property. We've reached an agreement with the Duffys in the amount of $300 to compensate them for that temporary construction easement. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Shaw? Hearing none, we have ordinance 49, 2026 for consideration. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is ordinance number 49, 2026. I will read by title only. Accepting a temporary construction easement from Brandon R. Duffy and Emily J. Duffy for the Erie Street and Monroe Street roundabout project, dedicating the temporary easement for public purposes, appropriating funds therefore in the amount of $300. I move for passage as an emergency measure.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 49, 2026 as an emergency measure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried and ordinance 49, 2026 is approved as an emergency measure. Moving on to agenda item number 7, some vehicle purchases for the water department. Mr. Shaw.
Got one more to do with
6D. All right, my apologies. I blew past it.
Good. 6D.
6D, let's go to 6D. This is the one for us, right?
This is the one for us.
This is not gonna get turned down?
It takes a little explaining on this one. Very southwest corner of the site, all woods, a little bit of grass. You wouldn't really know it. The Lucas County Auditor's Office didn't even know this parcel existed until we did the deed research on it and found that it was a deeded parcel back in the 50s from the golf course as a remnant from when they were doing development. This is on the other side of the creek from the golf course, so essentially not useful to them at all. So at some point in the 50s, we purchased the parcel, but it was not officially shown in the auditor's office. So there was a lot of legwork that took a few weeks to get that straightened out, get the parcel identified with a tax parcel ID number. That said, all of it has either a storm sewer, a sanitary sewer, or fiber optic lines on it. It's pretty much wholly used for utility purposes for the most part anyways, as you might suspect. So we would like to formally dedicate the city-owned parcel as public right-of-way as part of this project, and that's what we're asking for here. Be happy to answer your questions.
Questions for Mr. Shaw?
Mr. Shaw, without having a tax ID number, there's no back taxes, I assume?
There's no back tax, Mr. Hanson.
Thank you.
Great question. Other questions for Mr. Shaw? Hearing none, we have ordinance 50, 2026 for consideration. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is ordinance number 50, 2026. I will read by title only. Accepting a warranty deed of right-of-way from the city of Sylvania relative to the Erie Street and Monroe Street roundabout project, authorizing the mayor and director of finance to execute said documents on behalf of the city. I move for passage as an emergency measure.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 50, 2026 as an emergency measure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried and ordinance 50, 2026 is approved as an emergency measure. Now we'll go on to the vehicle purchase. I was trying to rush things. Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I always enjoy bringing vehicles that are being replaced that start with a 1 in front of it. This one is a 1999 Sterling with.
So we're running out of those, right?
We have a few left.
Okay, just checking.
We're whittling them out, but a 1999 Sterling with 52,154 miles on it. Looking to move that piece of equipment after 27 years of service for the city of Sylvania to Gov Deals after the replacement is bought. So we are looking to get a Kenworth, a single axle, a dump truck with a dump outfit from Kaleida Truck. So the dump truck itself, including the cab and chassis, is at a purchase price of $118,326 from Whiteford Kenworth. It's over in Indiana. And the dump package is from local here, Kaleida Truck Equipment, and that's for $49,000, making the total cost of the single axle dump $167,326. We did program this into our 26 budget. This was planned out of our water account with the appropriate water account number listed in your letter. So I would be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Shaw? Hearing none, we have ordinance 51, 2026 for consideration. Mr. Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to read by title only ordinance number 51-2026, authorizing the mayor and director of finance to accept the proposal of Whiteford Kenworth for the provision of a new 2026 Kenworth T480 cab and chassis for the Division of Water, Department of Public Service, appropriating $118,326 therefore. I move for passage of ordinance number 51-2026 as an emergency measure.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 51, 2026 as an emergency measure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried and ordinance 51, 2026 is approved as an emergency measure. Moving on to agenda item number 52, Mr. Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce by title only ordinance number 52-2026, authorizing the mayor and director of finance to accept the proposal of Kaleida Truck Equipment, Inc. for the provision of one new dump body package for the Division of Water, Department of Public Service, appropriating $49,000 therefore. I move for passage of ordinance number 52-2026 as an emergency measure.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 52, 2026 as an emergency measure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Ordinance 52, 2026 is approved as an emergency measure. Moving on to agenda item number 8A. Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This one comes out of our streets department, another dump truck and package here. The replacement, the vehicle to be replaced is a 2001 Ford F550. It has 82,067 miles and has provided us 25 years of good life in our streets department, which is great considering the road elements that these types of vehicles deal with the salt and the brine and everything. But the replacement is a local here from Dave White Chevrolet, a Chevy Silverado 5500 at a purchase price of $62,723.28. And again, the dump package for the vehicle would come from local again from Kaleida Truck Equipment in the amount of $37,200. The total cost of the vehicle in the street department would be $99,923.28. We did budget for this one as well. This is out of our 401 account and the number listed in your letter. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Shaw? It's always good when we have the opportunity to buy from one local.
Absolutely.
So it's good. Glad to hear that.
Absolutely.
We have ordinance 53, 2026, Ms. Stowe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to introduce ordinance number 53-2026 and read by title only. Authorizing the mayor and director of finance to accept the proposal of Dave White Chevrolet for the provision of a new 2026 Chevrolet Silverado 5500 and chassis for the Division of Streets, Department of Public Service, appropriating $62,723.28 therefore. I move for passage of ordinance number 53-2026 as an emergency measure.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 53, 2026 as an emergency measure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried, and ordinance 53, 2026 is approved as an emergency measure. Moving on to agenda item number, ordinance 54, 2026. Ms. Stout.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce ordinance number 54-2026 and read by title only. Authorizing the mayor and director of finance to accept the proposal of Kaleida Truck Equipment Incorporated for the provision of one new dump truck for the Division of Streets, Department of Public Service, appropriating $37,200 therefore. I move for approval of ordinance number 54-2026 as an emergency measure.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 54, 2026 as an emergency measure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. And ordinance 54, 2026 is approved as an emergency measure. Moving on to agenda item number 9, Ms. Briney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Actually, Mr. Hanson, you asked this question when we passed the original ordinance 34, 2026 about the term. And once the negotiations with Archer Energy began, we were able to secure a better rate and for a longer term. So this is just repealing that ordinance for the 12-month term and granting the 23-month term. So it's more savings, same program. So I would recommend its approval.
Questions for Ms. Briney? Hearing none, we have ordinance 55, 2026 for consideration. Mr. McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce by title only ordinance number 55-2026, repealing ordinance number 34-2026, authorizing the mayor and director of finance to enter into a customer supply agreement with Archer Energy for the provision of natural gas to residential and small commercial customers within the city of Sylvania beginning June 2026. I move for passage of ordinance number 55-2026 as an emergency measure.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve ordinance 55, 2026 as an emergency measure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried, and ordinance 55, 2026 is approved as an emergency measure. Moving on to agenda item number 10, we have administrative code. Ms. Brenning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is part of our restructuring and taking a look at our records retention schedule. We needed to appoint a new records commission secretary, and we have someone who is willing to do it. However, she's a resident of Sylvania Township, not the city of Sylvania. So I'm just asking that there's no requirement in the ORC. We can certainly establish whoever, but I would just ask for your consideration in allowing the secretary of the commission to be either a township or a city resident. She is also a city employee, and it would just make our operations and ability to dispose of records much more efficient.
Questions for Ms. Brinning?
Why the Sylvania Township? Or
The original, the way it's written now says City of Sylvania, so I think there's still value to having it be a resident of the community, either the township or the city, but, so I just,
I'm not following you.
Yes.
Where does this come from?
This is the Records Commission, so the Records Commission is.
It's the Records Commission of the city.
Correct.
Why wouldn't we want a resident of the city of Sylvania appointed by the mayor?
Just for efficient operations, we meet.
Can't find somebody in the city that lives in the township?
I'm sorry?
Okay,
somebody does live in the township that would be willing to do it. She's an employee of the city.
So we already have somebody in mind for
Yes,
this.
yes.
Okay,
And the meetings are like 5 minutes, but we need to have them more frequently. So it just seems a burden to put on a member of the community to do it when we have somebody who's across the parking lot, ready, able, willing.
I certainly don't have any concerns about that, Mrs. Breining. I think it sounds efficient and seems like a acceptable option.
Especially when she's an employee of the
Yes.
city, so she has a stake here.
So,
Other questions from members of council?
does she have,
Expertise in records retention.
good question, does she have expertise in records retention?
You don't need it because I didn't have it.
Okay. It's just, okay, we're putting this into code.
Yes.
Okay.
It's already in the code. This is an amendment to it.
I understand. When did we originally pass this?
Oh, gosh. Probably the
1979?
70s. Yes, it hasn't been looked at for decades.
I feel a little, I would rather have a resident of the city on our records commission rather than someone from the township. And I know you got somebody in mind that we don't have anybody else who lives in the city, who works for the city, who could do this.
Not anybody that also doesn't have a conflict with some of there's a couple of departments that obviously have that come before the commission most frequently. And there is somebody in one of those departments, but she would have to recuse herself because she couldn't vote on her own records retention disposal.
Ms. Breining, maybe
I
to
can-
help
yeah.
Mr. Hanem out a bit, describe who's on the Records Commission as it stands today, not counting the potential individuals under consideration.
Yeah, it's just by statute, it's the mayor or your representative, the director of finance, the director of law, and a resident. Yes, by code, it's director of law.
So these legitimately are less than 5-minute meetings, Mr. Hanem. So to bring somebody in from outside gets to be a little.
I understand, it's just
I understand your concern.
It's the concept.
I do not have any concerns, and I'd be willing to call the question.
We have a request to call the question regarding ordinance 56, 2026. Are there, so we've
Second.
ordined,
I'll second that. I don't know how you do that. I don't know what the rule is.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you want to introduce it?
Yeah, I'm happy
Okay.
to. Yes, I'd like to introduce ordinance number 56-2026, read by title only, amending Part 1 Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of Sylvania 1979 as amended by amending Chapter 147, Records Commission, and I move passage of ordinance number 56-2026 as an emergency measure.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance
I'd like to
50.
address the motion.
Pardon, Mr. Hanem?
Under Robert's rules, I can address the motion.
Yes, of
after a
course.
second. So my point, why would we limit it this to just a Sylvania Township resident? Why wouldn't we just say, why couldn't we say, or anyone?
We could. I just thought there was value in keeping it at least to the community. But
The
if
city
you,
is in the township, I mean, as a,
correct, yes. But if you want to, I mean, there doesn't have to be any restriction on residency.
So we enact this and 5 years from now, we put, I would prefer to limit it to a Sylvania resident, but I understand. I have nothing else to say.
Thank you. Any other discussion from members of council? Hearing none, we have ordinance 56, 2026 with a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
We have a split decision, so Mrs. Smith, will you call the roll?
Mr. Hanson?
Yes.
Mr. Hanem?
No.
Mr. McCann?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
yes.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Mrs. Stout?
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Vote is 6-1, and the ordinance 56, 2026 is adopted as an emergency measure. Thank you very much. Moving on to ordinance number 57, 2026 for consideration. Again, administrative code. Ms. Branning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you all know, Mr. Schroyer is going to be retiring. We have begun the process of advertising for that position. However, there are some duties that only by code, only he has the power to do, such as sign contracts. He's one of a signatory for checks more than $10,000, and also for purchase requisitions, the things outlined in 12901A. So with the vacancy in his office, we would just request that the interim director of finance is be permitted to be designated by the mayor, and that person be allowed to sign contracts and any purchase requisitions, or just in order to keep the finance department moving and ensure the city's bills are getting paid and we're still able to conduct business while we find a replacement.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. McCann.
could you name that person?
Could I name who?
Person, that's right.
The interim finance director?
I haven't decided yet but I don't have the authority to.
So pending.
Yes.
Okay.
We wanted,
Thank you.
we just wanted to get this piece in front of you for consideration before.
And how long would, I understand what the term interim means, you know, but in theory, how long is an acceptable interim period, do you think, to allow someone to have contract signing authority? Just blanketly until we find somebody, or I guess my point is, should there be any kind of stipulation
sunset.
for a
Sure.
specific period of time, not to overcomplicate it, I'm just thinking.
My expectation is it should be less than 90 days, but I can't control what
No, I
sort
get
of
that,
applications we're gonna get and how capable or competent they may or may not be. I mean, there's certain, it may take 3 months, it may take 6. I'm not sure that I.
Right, we don't hire somebody just to hire somebody, I totally get that.
Mr. Mayor, I guess,
Mr. Hanson.
Are we looking at an interim finance director definitely, or is it just in case? You know, I guess, what does the horizon look like in your mind?
I wouldn't want the interim finance director to sign checks. That's one of the reasons that I asked the law director to include anything above $10,000. Obviously, Mr. Shaw has the ability to sign. But if, and I think the manager of tax has the ability to sign too, correct?
Yes.
But if one of those two individuals is out right now, we can't sign a check for $10,000 or more. So that's why I ask for my having the authority to also execute that kind of a document. So because I would be reluctant to allow that, but if I'm out of town or we need to have this check cut for whatever reason, I want to have the flexibility to utilize the interim director. More of the interim director would be about purchase requisitions. Having the individual make sure that when a purchase rec comes from one of the departments, that it, you know, somebody's there to double check and making sure it's in the budget and that it doesn't exceed the balances in the accounts and so forth. Just the blocking and tackling of accounting.
Thank you.
Other questions for Ms. Branning or myself? Hearing none, we have ordinance 57, 2026 for consideration. Mrs. Westfall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce ordinance number 57-2026. I'll read by title only. Amending Part 1 Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of Sylvania, 1979, as amended by amending Chapter 129, Department of Finance. I move final passage of ordinance number 57-2026 as an emergency measure.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 57, 2026 as an emergency measure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried and ordinance 57, 2026 is approved as an emergency measure. Moving on to ordinance number 58, since Mr. Schroyer is not here this evening. Ms. Browning, I'm gonna toss you into the soup on this one too.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. These are then and now certifications for January and February. I don't know if anyone has any specific questions on any of them. Between Mr. Shaw and I, we may be able to answer most of the questions, but if not, we would just recommend its approval.
If I could add, I'd just, obviously, we see these monthly. With closing the budget books and everything, there were a number of these that are larger than I'm personally not happy with, but they are what they are. We're trying to follow the proper procedures, and we're gonna try to continue to clean those things up as we move forward, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
If I could, I might add that the Aerial Titans of the Parks Nifty Lift, that was a successful grant application that we requested late in 25 to apply for with the Bureau of Workers' Comp. So we will be getting $40,000 of that cost back to us, so just wanted to make sure I add that.
Yay.
You'll recall, that was one of the things that Mr. Shaw talked to us about at the end of last year.
Yeah.
Other questions? Hearing none, we have ordinance 58, 2026 for consideration. Mr. Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce by title only ordinance number 58-2026. An ordinance to authorize and ratify the execution of then and now certificates by the finance director and the payment of amounts due to various purchase orders. I move for passage of ordinance 58-2026 as an emergency measure.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve ordinance number 58, 2026 as an emergency measure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried, and ordinance 58, 2026 is approved as an emergency measure.
Mr. Mayor, I have just,
Mr. Murphy.
just a quick question. Once the new finance director is in place, whenever that day might be, what do you think is that realistic expectation that you have for them for these then and now certificates as far as reporting and getting them?
The flippant response is as small as possible, but the unfortunate reality is sometimes we can't control certain pieces of this. Boiler breaks, roof leaks, those are clearly then and now certification opportunities. One of the things that I think we have the opportunity to improve on is moving things more expeditiously as we go forward regarding things like budgets. I mean, you know, you all approved the budget last year for 2026 on first week of December, for instance. All of those kinds of things to address and clean up some of the things that I think need to be addressed and cleaned up to smooth those operations out.
That's what I was thinking, just as a rough rule, like by the second meeting of this month, we should be approving the then and now certificates from
They should,
previous, you know, or whatever.
based on what I saw last year, Mr. Murphy, that number will drop precipitously. It dropped substantially at around this time last year, and I believe it will again. A lot of this is just catch up while we were closing the books in January.
I'm just thinking you got a new person, it's probably start them with the right expectation for sure.
Understand,
Yeah.
understand. Appreciate it. Good question. Moving on to agenda item number 13. We have ordinance 120, 2025. Ms. Browning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is ordered legislation following the Finance Committee held February 2nd to create a new community reinvestment area in the Little Centennial area. And the map has been amended to include Hideaway, Summer Place, and the shopping center at the corner and the Rite Aid at the corner of Erie and Centennial. If there are no questions, I'd recommend its approval.
Any questions for Ms. Browning?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Hanson?
Just wondering, does there need to be a mail notification to the residences or anything like that as far as communication goes?
I certainly can. It's not required as part of the process, but it would make sense if people aren't gonna apply for it if they don't know they have the
I
opportunity.
mean, I would lean towards your expertise and past practice. I just didn't know what the.
Absolutely. We
we
haven't
typically
created
had
a new
done.
one in a really long time. But no, I think that's a great idea. I'll be happy to put together something with a little fact sheet and hopefully drum up some interest.
And
Thank you.
I think one of the things as we roll forward, particularly for those areas which have residential CRAs, it may be helpful to just provide notice periodically, rather, not just today, but, you know, maybe every 3 years. I don't have to think about a timing, but I think it makes sense every few years to send a letter to the broader communities inside those CRAs to let them know that they're available, because these houses are gonna turn over, obviously. I mean, and so the businesses may as well, but.
Did we talk to the school board? Did we tell
Yes,
them?
yep. And this does require the schools to be kept.
I understand.
Yep. But yes, they are aware. They were in the meeting with Mr. Hutchnecki and Mr. Sanford and I.
Other questions for Ms. Browning? Hearing none, we have ordinance 120, 2025 for consideration. Mr. Haynem.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was already move on. Move adoption of ordinance, number 120-2025. I'll read by title only. An ordinance implementing sections 3735.65 through 3735.70 of the Ohio Revised Code, establishing and describing the boundaries of the Little Centennial Community Reinvestment Area in the city of Sylvania, designating a housing officer to administer the program, and creating a community reinvestment housing council and a tax incentive review council. And I move adoption of ordinance number 120-2025 as an emergency measure.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve ordinance number 120, 2025 as an emergency measure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried, and ordinance 120, 2025 is approved as an emergency measure. Moving on to agenda item number 14. This is a letter from myself regarding potential appointment of Zach Lieber to the Municipal Planning and Board of Architectural Review to fill the unexpired term of Mr. Marciniak, who served our community faithfully for many, many years. I actually sent Mr. Marciniak a letter thanking him for his long service. He resigned last month, or in late February. And Mr. Lieber is as you can see there with some of his background, but he's a principal signature associate, so he's a commercial realtor. And I think it's important to have somebody with that sort of background in regards to the kind of things that are brought before that particular commission. Do I have a motion to consider municipal planning commission appointment confirmed by the mayor? Mr. McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve Zachary Lieber to serve the unexpired term of Mr. Ken Marciniak, who was in attendance this evening. We appreciate his service. I served with him for 7.5 years. Therefore, move for the approval of this person.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Mr. Zachary Lieber to fill the unexpired term of Mr. Ken Marciniak, which expires December 31st, 2027, to the Municipal Planning Commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much, and Mr. Lieber will be notified that his appointments are approved. Thank you. And moving on to agenda item number 15. Mr. Murphy, you're interested in setting a Parks and Forestry Committee meeting.
Yeah, we've been, myself, the members of the tree commission, Ms. Brining, Mr. Shaw, Margie, have all been talking about just trying to fine tune some of the roles and responsibilities of the tree commission so that it makes a little more sense with our city and kind of value their participation and kind of keep things chugging along in a good way. So, but we've had some initial discussions, like I said, with all the people I just mentioned, but I wanted to sit down with Parks and Forestry Committee to go over some of that, get their input as well too. On here it says April 6th, but I think April 20th might work better. Just give some more time for some discussion with the tree commission folks.
So Mr. Murphy.
So maybe, I mean, we've got a 7 o'clock council meeting, so, or 6:30, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. It wouldn't probably take that long, so 6 would probably be okay.
So what time do you want to do?
Second, is that a motion?
There's already something scheduled for 6 o'clock on April 6th.
No, this is,
He's saying
April
the 20th.
20th.
Oh, I'm
Yeah, I
sorry,
changed it
I'm
on
so,
you.
okay,
Apologize.
sorry.
April 20th?
April 20th at 6 o'clock here.
Okay.
That's a motion.
That's a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second to set a Parks and Forestry Committee meeting for, 6 PM on April 20th, 2026 here in council chambers. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried, and clerk will provide the notice. Hearing that, we're towards the end of the agenda. Are there any committee reports to come before council? Any committee referrals? Hearing none, that concludes our business for the Sylvania City Council meeting for March 2nd. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much, and we are adjourned until our next council meeting